Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Andy Collins and this is Game Over. Now today's show is coming to you from Tamworth in the Midlands here at the Ski Dome. It's one of the largest ski slopes in the UK, and what makes it even more unique is the fact that they actually use real snow. Now on today's show I will be snowboarding, skiing and a little bit of jumping as well. Also on the show we take a look at all the latest games that are flooding the market at the moment, and the Assassins take a look at Wipeout 3 for the PlayStation. Loads more besides, but first up, here's the news.
The Dreamcast has stormed into the US households with almost 500,000 being snapped up. Sadly for gamers outside the Far East or the States, you'll have to wait a wee bit longer, as our launch date has been delayed by 3 weeks to teasers on the 17th of October. The reason for this setback? Software problems with the European internet access. More delays. Sony Europe has bizarrely put the release of Jamalami on indefinite hold. In case you're wondering, the game is a sequel to the popular and quirky PaRappa the Rapper. This week we have not one, not two, not three, but 4 hot Nintendo announcements. First up, Capcom told Game Over that the long-awaited Resident Evil 2 conversion for the N64 is almost finished. Secondly, the N64 Double D bulky drive will at long last be available to curious Japanese gamers on December the 1st. Thirdly, Nintendo are working on 2 new handhelds. One's a zoomed-up Game Boy Color with improved multiplayer facilities. More interestingly, though, is a 32-bit Super Mini handheld, codenamed Atlantis, now called Game Boy Advance. The 4th hot Nintendo news is courtesy of Top Gamers at IGN.com website. Amazing movie footage of Zelda Gaiden. As usual, exploration, magic battles, and horse riding is the order of the day. A neat touch is that characters can curl up, roll into a ball, and hurtle around at breakneck speeds. Is this a tongue-in-cheek dig at Sonic by Shigeru Miyamoto? Or is he admitting he quite liked Sega's little blue hedgehog? And finally, in an earlier show, we tease you with the Chameleon snowboard game, Snow Surfers. This is now finished and out in Japan. Bizarrely, the game has undergone another name change and is now to be known as Coolboarders Burn. That's Burn with 3 R's. Naff? Yep, but who's complaining? A nice little tie-in to get you in the snowboarding mood.
Now, when you're going snowboarding, you've got to look the part, i.e. baggy pants, body warmer. Also, you've got to learn to speak the lingo. Now, I've been given a few key phrases to use here, like wood up, respect, laters, word to your granny. Yeah, I think I've got it sussed. Right, so while I get inside and get changed up, you lot take a look at the preview. Now, the game is a LMA Manager, which is basically a footy management kind of game, but it's designed purely for the PlayStation. So, you take a look at the preview. Me, word up, laters. I'm going in.
There's a new kid on the PlayStation footy block with the catchy title LMA Manager. LMA? Well, with FIFA, UEFA, and the Premier League licenses snapped up, what license could Britsoft company Codemasters use? The League Managers Association, of course. Well, it is an honest-to-God footy management sim. Every football fan thinks that they can pick a better selection than their team's manager, and Management Sims provides fans a chance to prove or disprove their strategies and theories. LMA Manager looks to shake up the formulaic footy management game which, on the PlayStation, have never been more than average conversions of their PC brethren. LMA Manager aims to deliver realism, depth, neat graphics and excitement for the PlayStation gamer, and because LMA is PlayStation exclusive, it offers an easy-to-use front-end and critical graphical face. If you're new to the management style, you can quickly jump to the next match. In-game commentary is provided by worldwide famous TV pundit Alan Hansen, and there are over 300 motion-captured movements with nearly 40,000 individual animations. They've gone for realism too, with authentic players, clubs, stadiums and managers for the current season. Take any of the 92 professional clubs in the English leagues, then lead them through European competitions, selecting from a full game or one of the 10 engagingly short-term challenges. Typically absorbing, LMA is hoping to leapfrog into the first team, currently occupied by the likes of Player Manager and Premier Manager.
Well, that's it. I'm all suited and booted and ready to rock and roll. So you lot, check out the feature. Me, I'm going to get to the slope. See you in a bit.
With games publishers gearing up for Christmas, there's a whole slew of hot titles awaiting release. So many, in fact, that we at Game Over are struggling to stuff them into our preview slots. But not to worry. For the next 3 minutes, prepare to feast your eyes on all the fab games coming your way soon.
Ouch!
First up is Giant Graham Wrestling for the Sega Dreamcast. Developed by the team behind Virtua Fighter, this is a graphically superb rendition of the sport. The wrestlers are mainly of the Japanese variety, but there are some familiar Western faces too. Talking of familiar faces, some of the cast of Virtua Fighter also make an appearance, including the likes of Sneaky Ninja Kagemaru and the big and butch Wolf Hawkfield. Control-wise, the game is a little more technical than the likes of Acclaim's WWF Attitude. Precise timing is needed to pull off a lot of the grapples and holds, and every move in the game can be struggled out of, if you have the reflexes. A big bonus is the brilliant multiplayer option. This allows for some truly epic battles as 4 wrestlers battle it out for supremacy in the ring. PlayStation and N64 racing fans are in for a treat with the upcoming release of Hot Wheels by EA. The game is a wacky driving mod featuring a variety of offbeat vehicles and crazy courses to get to grips with. These courses are littered with objects that can either aid or hinder your progress. Drivers will need to negotiate steep ramps and gravity-defying track loops, whilst avoiding tricky bends, boulders smack bang in the middle of the road, and of course other crafty competitors. This is certainly one title that should make up for the glut of rallying and GT races around at the moment. Back to a fighting theme next with a look at PlayStation Newie Xena Warrior Princess, once again from EA. Based on the cheesy action series, the title plays like a cross between Tomb Raider and Fighting Force, as gamers get to grips with the feisty sword-wielding warrior. Xena is controlled in much the same fashion as Lara Croft, but also has a repertoire of flashy beat-em-up moves including acrobatic kicks, fancy swordplay, and most impressive of all, the use of a trusty frisbee. In fact, one of the first set pieces in the game involves saving a hostage with some fancy frisbee throwing. Keep a close eye on this one, it could be a surprise hit. Lastly, we have the absolutely stark raving bonkers Earthworm Jim 3D for the N64. Developed by slightly mad Scottish coders Viz, this is the Superworm's first outing on the Nintendo console, and surprise, surprise, it's a 3D platformer. Be warned though, Mario 64 this is not. Gamers can expect to fend off hellish green zombies, sporting massive 70s afros in the disco level. Get to grips with the menacing chicken feathers and egg gun in the farm level, or better still, laser blast dual evil robot baddies in Future World. Confused? You certainly will be.
Right, so this is Peter. He's my instructor. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. He's going to teach me how to like ski and fall over, I think. So you lot go to the Assassins, who are going to be showing you a game called Shadow Man and what they think of it. So off you go. Right, so you want to put my left foot in now.
The Shadow Man, a hero who can travel between the worlds of the living and the dead to battle evil. Hang on, that sounds a bit like Soul River Vampire Aziel. Is the gaming world big enough for the both of them? Those games assassins will tell you.
Shadow Man, the new gothic 3D adventure released by Acclaim on PC and PlayStation, stars, oddly enough, the Shadow Man, who's a weirdo bloke with a voodoo mask implanted in his chest, which gives him the power to walk between the worlds of the living and the dead.
It's not Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider had very small levels, lots of things going on. This is more an exploration game. This is something that you have to dedicate your entire life to.
There's quite a lot of Tomb Raider in the mix as well, with the Shadow Man able to shimmy along platforms, climb up places, discover hidden switches and stuff like that.
There is nothing more frustrating in a 3D environment game than an enemy being just out of sight of the camera but still within reach of hitting you. Now, you do not have the kind of control over the camera that you would love.
Gameplay-wise, there's more than a touch of the platforms about this. You'll find yourself collecting tokens. I mean, in this case, they happen to be disembodied hearts or going and hitting things that look quite like switches, or jumping along platforms, hanging off the edges, and jumping to hard-to-reach places, pulling switches, and then jumping back down.
The control method itself is quite finicky. Pixel-perfect jumps are quite often called for, and that can just frustrate, because at the end of the day, if it's a very simple little jump, and it's not even a plot device, you'd miss that and you die, where you have to go back to where you were, and that can really irk you.
The question is, are PC gamers going to go for what's basically a jumped-up platform game? The answer, we think, is not.
Well, that's the end of part 1. Join us in part 2 for more fun and games and me falling over a lot. We'll see you in 2.
Acquaint yourself with what's hot in the high street, from speech recognition packages and digital cameras.
Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of Game Over. Now, we're just making our way to the halfway stage of this very big slope. Peter, my instructor, is a right taskmaster, and he's making me work, he is, you're right. Listen, so while I go and join Peter, you lot take a look at this new game. It's called Michael Owen World of Soccer 2000. It's a footy game, it's for the Nintendo 64, and here's what we thought of it. So you take a look at this, and I'm going up again. Whew.
At long last, the Nintendo 64 owners will get their chance to play the Star Striker in a standalone footy game called, innovatively, Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000. So what's special about Michael Owen's on the N64? Well, take a look. Take a good look. Yes, that's high-res, and jolly nice it is too. But get this, you don't need an expansion pack. No siree. However, if you've got that extra 4 megabits, you'll be able to virtually replay the entire match, picking out the best bits as you go with a massive choice of camera angles and replay options. Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000 plays like a dream too, especially in the dribble control. Here, if you hold down the Z key, you can dash around the ball, almost clinging to your foot. But tap the Z button, and the player knocks the ball in front, enabling you to glide past that awkward defender effortlessly. There's lots more. In addition to the varied dribble routines, you can pull off combo moves by combining the right shoulder and the C button. From toe punch shots to crosses on the run, spectacular volleys and scissor kicks, or even power headers to shin flicks. Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000 whips along at a rareal pace, with supremely detailed stadia, individual weather conditions, including great night and rain effects, team selection and tactics, and a choice of all the major leagues. To be honest, Game Over is already pretty gobsmacked by what Silicon Dreams has managed with Michael Owen Soccer 2000. It takes a beautiful game to a new level, and it'll prove a stiff challenge against the twin towers of Nintendo footy games of ISX and FIFA. It's a goal!
It's easy, this really, isn't it? It's easy. Okay, time now for the feature. It's a big feature about the new game Black and White. Take a look at this, and I'm going to go backwards even more. See you in a bit. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, this is easy.
I wanted to make Black and White the most impressive game that I've ever worked on, and the most impressive game in the history of computer games, which is a pretty big ambition.
Well, you said it, Pete, but if any man can pull it off, it's Peter Molyneux, previously of Bullfrog Studios and now with Lionhead. He's the creator of Populous, the game that spawned the entire GOG game genre, and he's not been content to rest on those laurels. He's since produced Dungeon Keeper and Theme Park World. Understandably, there's been an immense amount of interest surrounding his latest release, Black and White. Game Over went to his studios in Guildford to investigate.
I guess if you look at Black and White and break it down into the multiplayer game and the single-player game, then I think the single-player game is more like a role-playing game, where instead of you playing the role of one character, you're playing a role of a god.
True to his aim, there's an immense amount to talk about in Black and White. Almost across the board, we're looking at interesting developments of the Orthodox. One revolutionary element of the game is its interface, the way in which you control action in the game.
The consoles have got it more right than the PC. The idea that we emulate the Windows environment every time we play a game is just not going to work. Wouldn't it be cooler to throw all that away and just show the person who plays the game the world? And the only interface you have into that world is this hand. And you can do everything that you need to do in the hand, but physically. If you want to cast a spell, you cast it with your hand. You literally throw the spell with your hand, throwing the mouse across your mouse mat, which throws a spell out. If you want to punish your creature, you slap him with your hand, and everything suddenly works, and you suddenly think, well, why do you need icons? Why do you need an interface? Make it part of the game.
Another reason for this was to avoid a trap common to most role-playing games, having to define within the game what you, the player, physically looks like. It tests your game-playing faith when you're asked to imaginatively immerse yourself in the physical character of a little green troll like Link from Zelda.
So what we've chosen to do is make you disembodied from the game, make you ethereal. You never see yourself. You see the influence that you can make through your hand, and that, I think, is enough. If your world is edging towards the evil side, then you'll notice that slowly and subtly, everything that you own and control is morphing to reflect that. If you're good, on the other hand, then everything you own is becoming more green and lush. Your citadel is becoming more and more like a fairy tale citadel. In fact, maybe a little bit too cutely so. I mean, there's just a few too many little bunny rabbits hopping all over the place. The trees are just a little bit too sparkly. So everything that you control reflects the personality and the way that you are running the world. And the cool thing is, it's your alignment that chooses the path of the story. If in the game you're being good, then you're going to be taking one route. If you're evil, you're going to be taking another route. If you're somewhere in the middle, you'll be taking another route. That means that you and I could meet down the pub, and you could say, oh, it's a really cool bit of the story when you met that old guy on the hill and he didn't believe in you and a god and he wanted you to do something impressive and he gave you this gesture, this magic gesture power up. And I'd say, no, I didn't see that at all. There was this flood that came up and threatened my people, and when the flood receded, there was this spell down in the ground. And it's allowing people to take this different courses through the same story, which is an absolutely fascinating thing.
So then, this epic game is about an epic task, running the world as a god. It's all about how you treat the little people that inhabit your planet.
You are so incredibly powerful, you could destroy them all with just one spell if you wanted to. But the only trouble is you're nothing within the world without their belief. Your power is directly in relation to the number and the strength of the belief in them. You may scare them so literally every time that you request them to do something, they'll just do it straight away. Or they may have such respect for you because you've supplied them with such food and such so many materials that they really love you, that they'll respond equally, or anything in between that. So the relationship is a really strange one. It is like you being this all-powerful thing within the world, but secretly, the secret behind it is actually you depend on them, not that they depend on you.
So, as the game's development enters the final straight, a project that's occupied his entire life for the past 2 years, how does Peter Molyneux feel about it?
Black and White is my life achievement in every way. I can't imagine a project that could be so close to what I imagined it could be, and actually exceed that.
You can find out more in our second feature from Guildford in a future Game Over, when we'll find out about nice little touches ranging from disco dancing cows to weather simulation, but more importantly, frenzied, multiplayer, creature-on-creature warfare.
I'm not so sure about black and white. I feel black and blue, to be honest with you. Right, I'm going to the top, 150 metres that way. That's where I'm going. You lot are going to the Assassins, who are taking a look at Wipeout 3 on the PlayStation. So you go that way, and I'll go that way. See you in a bit.
Whip 3 out? What the heck's that all about? Oh, hang on a minute, this is Wipeout 3. Oh, I get it now. Anyway, it's over to the Games Assassin.
To say that Wipeout 3 is eagerly awaited is a massive understatement. Wipeout 2097 is one of the biggest games ever on PlayStation. Really one of the games that helped sell the console in the first place.
Wipeout 3 seems to look towards Wipeout 2 more than the first one, because the gameplay seems to be a lot easier. I think that was because a lot of people complained that the original Wipeout was too hard, but it wasn't. It just meant that you had to play it properly.
This has even got quite a lot of the weapons from Wipeout 2097, and a lot of the even a lot of the ships are still the same. So basically, this feels quite a lot like a new set of tracks for a game that we were playing 3.5 years ago.
Some of the tracks on Wipeout 3 are absolutely stunning. There's one where you go over this ridge and suddenly go down this spiral hill at a breakneck speed with no break up in the flickering of the screen or anything like that.
New weapons include the energy barrier, which you can fire out in front of you and which forms a sort of mesh of red lines, which any ship passing through them will be absolutely caned. There's also a power-up which turns you into a kind of ghost ship, which allows you to weave in and out actually through other ships. Quite cool.
The other thing that really annoyed me about Wipeout 3 is they've gone for this fantastic front end and this fantastic look with the graphics all the way through. Tiny little indents and the way they say that you've got a power-up and the score, basically the fonts, but they're unreadable.
A particularly cool new feature is the split-screen two-player mode. In Wipeout 2097, to play against a mate, you needed a link-up cable. But in this one, it's a split-screen two-player that moves at a fair old speed. There's not too much detail lost, and while it's not as good as the one-player, it's still something that we like to see.
But for all its faults, Wipeout 3 is very playable, and it does look gorgeous. The only problem is if you've got Wipeout 2097, you certainly won't need this one, because it is nigh on identical. That said, it's still a fun two-player game.